Tunnel of Love. It was their first date. She had been eyeing him in sociology. He sat behind her, and they frequently partnered up on assignments. They both shared a love for all things paranormal. They decided they would take their date straight to the forbidden tunnel at the edge of campus. Horror and lore surrounded this tunnel. It was an old tunnel that seemed to go to nowhere. It was like a huge pipe. Legend had it that the devil himself lived there. A psychic came and investigated once. She believed it was just haunted by ghosts who thought it was funny to scare people. They were harmless. Layla and Carter thought that was probably the most likely story. So they decided a great way to spend their first date was to be tormented by ghosts together. That sounded like the best date ever and a great way to bond. Layla figured that by the end of their first date, they would be exclusive. It was a win-win. Carter showed up at Layla's dorm room door promptly at 8 o'clock on Friday night. She looked stunning in a cute short dress with high heels. Her makeup was matted to perfection. He felt sorely underdressed in his standard jeans, blue t-shirt, and black Converse. Carter did not think they should be dressing up for a date like this. A dress like that was for a fancy dinner or club. Definitely not walking in muddy overflow and trekking down a long, dark tunnel. There was also the slight possibility that they would be running for their lives out of said tunnel. "Are you sure you want to wear that?" Carter asked her plainly. "Oh no. Does it make me look fat?" Layla shrieked. Carter never realized she was so sensitive about her looks. He always thought of her as a natural beauty who did not have to try so hard to come off as attractive. Wow, what a game changer. "Not at all. I just thought," Carter started, but was cut off by the door being slammed in his face. What just happened? He didn't have to think too long on that as she reappeared, opening the door to reveal her in a black sweater that covered up her top half. "This better?" she asked, annoyed. He knew he couldn't push it if he wanted to get to at least second base with this girl. "You look amazing, with or without the sweater," he said, extending his arm in gentlemanly fashion. She latched on as they headed out. As expected, they took more time to get there than he wanted. She walked slowly, stumbling every now and then in the pumps. He was starting to get annoyed with her. Who on earth would wear heels to something like this? This girl right here, his next conquest. She was embarrassed. Her roommate had suggested this outfit, and here she was, stumbling all over the place, slowing them down. She felt like her pound of makeup was melting off her face. She felt extremely self-conscious in the dress. She kept tugging it down. She was also getting really apprehensive. Maybe telling him she loved all things paranormal when she in fact did not wasn't the best thing. Now her first date was going to be a disaster. She had never seen this tunnel. She just agreed with everything he said. In all reality, she did not know anything about this tunnel. Was it like a cave? She had no idea what she got herself into. She just wanted a boyfriend. They arrived in a dark wooded area. She looked to him for guidance. "Down this way," he said, and took her hand. Dread filled her as the forest sloped down, and she realized they were going down there. She took a deep breath and started slowly descending behind Carter, clinging onto his hand. So, yes, this outfit was the worst idea ever. She hobbled down the slope, hunchback style. She looked up and gasped. There before her was the infamous tunnel. There was standing water flowing out of the tunnel. It was a sewer. This was not happening. "Are you ready to invoke?" Carter turned to her. Her eye makeup had formed bigger lines all the way around her eyes. She looked part raccoon, part zombie. "Sure," she smiled. Carter smiled back and turned back toward the tunnel. "Is anybody in there?" he called down the tunnel. Answered back, sounding much like a howling dog. "Oh my God, this is awesome." Carter could barely contain the excitement. "We mean you no harm. We just would like to ask permission to enter your sacred space," Carter called out. A low growling sound echoed throughout the tunnel before settling in Layla's ears. "Okay, let's leave now." Layla tugged on Carter's arm. Hey, this is all a part of it. When you hear the growl, you may enter. Don't you remember reading that online? We read the same blog, right?" Carter looked at her suspiciously. "Well, yes, but it sounds much more menacing than I thought it would," Layla lied through her teeth as she was growing more fearful. "Oh. Well, we can go in now," Carter said, pulling her forward with him. "Oh, wait, we have to go inside there?" Layla pointed to the tunnel. "Well, yes, that's what we talked about. Remember, we were going to try to get at least halfway, like Terrence and Bethany did before they were chased out by the ghosts? They detailed it all in their blog." Carter raised an eyebrow at her. He knew she was lying now. At least he felt more justified in getting as far as he could with her later that night. "Yeah, right. Crazy me. I guess I just got caught up in the moment," she said, taking another deep breath before proceeding to follow him blindly. Literally. The water inside the tunnel was flowing slowly. It was almost touching her ankles. She slid a few times, but for the most part held it together as long as they were walking a nice, slow, and steady pace. It was completely concrete. In the entrance, some graffiti was tagged on the walls. The tagging stopped 1 foot in, though. They kept walking, and Carter took his phone out to illuminate the tunnel. "That's better," he muttered. He almost tripped over a large rock on the ground. He decided to pick it up and hurl it down the tunnel as hard as he could. It sounded as though it had hit something. He let go of her hand and turned around to her. "I'm just going to go on ahead. You can follow me if you want, but I just want to go a bit faster," Carter told her. She nodded as he took off in almost a run. The flashlight kept fading and fading. Her feet were killing her. She was never wearing heels ever again. Layla then heard a scuffling noise, followed by another growl. Then she heard Carter scream. She started to back up slowly, and then felt the urge to turn and run. That did not work out too well in her favor. She toppled over so hard onto the concrete and scraped her knee, leaving a severe abrasion. Blood began pouring from her knee. She waited for Carter. He could carry her home. Just then, Carter's flashlight came into view. It was a small dot, and then it grew bigger and bigger until he was a few steps away. "Get out! Get help!" he wheezed. "Carter, what's wrong with you? What happened?" She fumbled in her sweater pocket for her phone as he had just dropped his in the water. There she was, soaked from her legs to her waist, trying to get her phone out of her pocket and hoping it had not gotten damaged in her fall. Thankfully, it was unharmed as she switched on the flashlight. The light from her phone slowly illuminated Carter as she panned up to his face. He was breathing heavily, gasping for air. As he turned his head slightly, Layla could see exposed skin and skeleton. Half of his face was gone. She screamed. "Please call someone, but get out," he breathed out before he collapsed. Layla willed her body up in a hurry and ditched the pumps. She ran out barefoot, cutting her feet along the way, shaking so hard. It was hard to move fast at all. "Tell them I am here," she heard a voice whisper in her ear. She turned for a split second and saw a figure illuminated only by moonlight. It was a dark shadow with white eyes waving goodbye to her.